guys, we're just going to do a bit of a nutrition video now. This is just really to talk about the basics of nutrition. Obviously Hayzel's doing a lot of the different modules with you, going into much more depth. We really wanted to do a bit of a visual thing where we show you the different types of food groups, just so that it becomes clearer. I think sometimes nutrition can be a bit of a minefield, but it can be broken down and you can get to grips with what you need to be putting in each of your meals and snacks. So what I've done is I've laid out a week's worth of shopping on the table. I'm going to talk through what typically I eat in a week, or what my family eats in a week, and then we're going to take it to our nutritionist, our resident nutritionist, and she's going to give us some tips. So while I'm a personal trainer and have a basic nutrition education, Hayzel is a fully qualified nutritionist, so she knows how to eat in menopause. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share with her some of the things I eat, and then we can get some tips on where I could improve my diet, and then we'll just talk a little bit about basics for portion control and also some environmental factors in terms of gearing up your environment for success when you're trying to eat healthily. So this is a typical week shop. So let's start with protein. Sorry, I'm going ahead of you there, Hayzel. I don't want to just blank you out of the picture. So obviously I've got eggs in there, good source of protein. We saw before in our cooking video, I'm a key fan of salmon, so there's some marinated salmon, got some chicken in there, got some vegetarian tofu, so I don't just have the meat choices. I will eat some red meat, I'll be honest. We do have something like spaghetti bolognese once a week, but mostly it will be chicken and fish. I do also consume yogurt, which is again good for probiotics, your gut health. I do tend to have milk sometimes, but mainly I have almond milk. So that's mainly the sort of dairy and meat stuff there. You will see at the back, I'm not a absolute, eating healthy all the time. I have got some brioche rolls here, not ideal. Some crisps and some popcorn. Those can be quite dehydrating. They're not the best for us, but they do figure in my diet a little bit. I'm not perfect. When it comes to carbs, we have a selection of carbs. We do have brown rice. We sometimes have white pasta. Sweet potatoes, great for slow release energy. I do have jacket potatoes, egg noodles, quinoa. Tend to eat quite a lot of different carbohydrates. When it comes to micronutrients, vegetables and fruits, we have a selection. So we've got strawberries, blueberries, we've got apples, oranges. I also try to have cruciferous vegetables. So we've got our cauliflower and broccoli, and then our leafy greens, so kale and spinach, and then your usual salad stuff. Obviously drink herbal teas, real fond of green tea and antioxidants, so I do indulge in some dark chocolate, high cocoa solids. You can see there's a bit of wine in there, so I am not perfect. I do enjoy a glass of wine. We've also got some snack options here. Do like hummus. We've got nuts and seeds, which are again really good for essential fats. I do also consume tuna, and be interested to know what Hayzel says about that. More snacks here, rice crackers, which are fairly low in calories. And then I do have the odd shake, like I would have talked to you about in the breakfast session. So I will have a shake in the morning, and I use extra greens. And then the other stuff on my table are just things that are added to salads and things. I'm a fan of kind of sour food, so I like olives, gherkins, and then things to flavour. I mentioned before that dates are great to sweeten things in small amounts. Things like desiccated coconut, and I find chocolate chips really useful as well, because it's not having too much chocolate, but you can add them to things like energy balls. So that really is our diet in a week. So I'll take it over to Hayzel now and just ask for some tips really. So Hayzel, what do you think about my diet overall, and what do you think of it in terms of menopause? I'd be really interested to hear what you think.
So this is a really good selection that Laura has got here. We've talked to you about macros. So Laura, when she does her shopping, she breaks it down really well, knowing that she needs to have all the proteins as well to really help fuel her body, keep her fuller for longer, that growth and repair. Obviously the carbohydrates as well. So Laura's really good in terms of having the complex carbohydrates, so less refined carbohydrates. Obviously we do have some things like noodles, but if you pair them with the protein and have lots of vegetables as well, then you're actually creating quite a nutritious meal. It very much is how you pair it, what you do with your nutrition and the components that you buy. So that's really, really important. So Laura again has a selection here. We've got lots of colours Like Laura was saying, in terms of the cruciferous vegetables here, so these are really good in terms of being hormone balancing, so that we can metabolize the estrogen as well. It can be helpful if you can go organic and you can have those vegetables delivered so that they're less wrapped in the plastics as well. So obviously when you have organic food, then you limit the pesticides and things that go on it. And plastic can also leach out chemicals as well, and it's the wrong types of mimicking estrogens that we then get from those. So the more that we can store things, I know Laura does have glass containers as well in those overnight oats that we've seen in the video in this module as well. But that can be really, really important. In terms of adding things, I think this is really, really important. So it can be hard to get enough protein throughout our diet and add it to every meal possible. And sometimes we do want, you know, a breakfast like the banana pancakes and things like that. And we can add more protein to it by adding a protein powder. We can also put that protein powder in a smoothie, or we can put it in our porridge to really boost those levels. And as Laura has mentioned before, having protein powders that don't have as many additives and chemicals and things like that are really important. Laura talked about tuna, and this can be really good in terms of a really quick, simple lunch. If you're adding tuna to salad, great lunch. But we do have to think about the heavy metals as well in our body, because that can have effect, particularly when our hormones are struggling through menopause. So just not having it too often, really, you know, once a week perhaps, in terms of the tuna, and maybe mackerel another time a week, so you're getting those healthy fats as well. Laura has dates and prunes and that kind of thing. We really need that mineral balance through menopause as well. So getting that iron is really, really helpful in terms of our energy levels, to send that oxygen around the body, to be really healthy in terms of that overall kind of well-being. It's really, really important. Chocolate, when you're having it dark chocolate, obviously the more antioxidants, so yeah, this can be really good as well in terms of menopause and helping your body as well to support those levels, those different levels of hormones. It's good to have these kind of fresh fruits that Laura's got as well. You can have frozen too, you know, you can make things easier with a smoothie by already having pre-cut up frozen vegetables, and then you can add the things like the flax seeds to it as well. So that can be time saving. Laura's good with her nut butters. These can be a great snack, you know, in terms of, I know Laura loves cutting up apple and dipping it in nut butter as well. Really, really quick and easy. Hummus is great as well. Obviously you can make your own, but we need to be realistic in terms of, we're busy people. And when you have, you know, the things that you can dip in, the veggie sticks and the hummus can be a great kind of snack to have. Rivitas as well, you can put lots of high protein options on here. They're very, very versatile. But as Laura was mentioned to me before we made this video as well, you do need to hydrate well when you're having these kind of things. So hydration is really, really key. Laura has got lots of herbal teas here as well. So these can be good to up your kind of water intake, and in moderation. You know, wine can work, but we have to think about what we're eating with it in terms of balancing our blood sugar levels, hydrating as well. Everybody's very individual in terms of how they process that alcohol, so it's really understanding your own symptoms. It can make hot flushes sometimes worse, the same as caffeine sometimes, so it's just being aware of those kind of things really. It's really good that Laura has lots of things here in terms of bone health. You know, bone health is so important in menopause. The natural yogurt as well with the live cultures is really, really important for your gut health, as well as having that element of bone health, your teeth as well. So yeah, lots of dairy products here that are really, really helpful, and the almond milk as well. Everybody's different in terms of, you know, whether they can process that lactose well, so it's good to have those different options if that helps you. Eggs are very versatile. We've seen in other videos that they can be put in those pancakes as well in the morning, but also obviously the savoury options. And I think, you know, both me and Laura really do have that 80-20 goal in terms of 80% of our meals and our meal planning is very much about those whole foods, foods that have a purpose, whereas, you know, 20% may be things that we just fancy. And I think it is about making sure that the majority of our foods and our meal plans have a purpose to them. They're well balanced, we get all the macros in them, and we get the micronutrients with all the colours and the vitamins and the minerals that we need. So overall, this is a really healthy and realistic kind of balance in terms of our weekly shop.
That's good, that's positive. Well, that's good that I'm doing well, and it's good to have that bit of extra information about all the stuff and related to the menopause, definitely. There were just two things we wanted to mention. So obviously we've talked about food, but another key thing is making this kind of food accessible. So we will talk about this in the course. It's all very well buying the stuff, but always make it available to you. So make sure that your fridge, you've got all of the healthy stuff, so it's the first thing that you see. That can often be really important. It's how you tablescape and how you set up your environment to encourage you to have all of these healthy options available. That might mean putting healthy snacks in your bag when you go out for the day, things like that. A lot of it is planning, as we will discuss. And then the other thing that we will also go into more detail about is portion control. You know, we don't want to be overly calorie counting, that takes the joy out of eating. But when you do balance your plate in the right way, and what we found over the years is plates have got bigger and bigger. So an 8-inch plate is what really we should be eating on, but plates have actually got bigger. We want to keep our portion sizes nice and simple, not too heavy. And when we fill half of our plate, this is one of my top tips, you can actually decrease your calorie intake by about 20% just by having half a plate of vegetables. So making sure that you fill up on all of those filler foods, things like beans, legumes, you know, fruits and vegetables, which are kind of, they keep you fuller for longer, but they don't have that calorie density, is really important. So that whole balancing, having half a plate of the good micronutrients and then the rest with the portion of protein and the portion of slow release carbs. So it's a mixture of just knowing a bit about nutrition, knowing how to gear up your environment so you make healthy choices, and just making sure that those portion sizes are the right ones. I hope you've enjoyed that video. I've definitely learned a lot about what I should and shouldn't be eating. We will be back very soon.